So Trump is really in, I won't even say rare form. I say he's in true form. He's in true mask-off form when it comes to the Somalis in Minnesota. This was one of several clips that went viral. Here's Eric Doherty. Holy crap. That's every tweet starts out that. Holy crap. President Trump calls Somalians and third worlders garbage who do nothing but bitch, blah, blah, blah. Inject this into my veins. Okay, so remember tweets like this the next time they run and say, no, we're not racist. We just, are concerned about American jobs or blah, 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 right? This is what they like. This is what they're here for, folks. So here's Donald Trump about Somalians in Minnesota and Ilhan Omar.
Go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
By the way, from reports, the guy pounding on the table in approval there is J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance. So, when Trump either steps aside or is impeached and removed, that's the guy waiting in the wings there, the guy banging on the table like an orangutan to show his support for just, obvious mask-off racist sentiment. But the Somalis have a great sense of humor about this stuff, a really great sense of humor that was lost apparently on American Papa Bear. This is one of the Chud accounts here. This has to be one of the most ridiculous takes I've ever heard. It is literally just flat out lies. He, meaning a Somali who recorded this obviously as a joke, which you all in our fine audience will get, no doubt. He says that Minnesota was promised to Somalians 3,000 years ago, and that the book of Genesis says you must honor Somalians. This must be one of the 70 IQ people that we've heard about. One of these people has a 70 IQ. It's not the guy in the video, though.
And also,
Glenn Greenwald pointed out.
You hear about this Muslim mayor that wants to teach Arabic numerals?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's an invasion. It's an invasion. So here he is.
Minnesota was promised to us Somalis 3,000. Minnesota was promised to us Somalis 3,000 years ago. And if you disagree, you're an anti-Kushite bigot, and you need help immediately. Also, if you read Genesis 12:3, it says that those who bless Somalis will be blessed, and those who try to harm them will bring harm upon themselves. I didn't say that. Genesis 12:3. Just saying.
Well done. All right. Now, I don't mean to insult our audience here, but every once in a while, one of the MAGA people kind of like find their way onto the channel. So just to catch anybody up who's a moron, Genesis 12:3 states, "I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." The verse is a direct address from God to who? To Abraham. It's starting to ring a bell, MAGA, and its interpretation regarding modern Israel is a subject of debate. Remember when Ted Cruz told Tucker Carlson, the Bible compels us to bless Israel, because if we bless Israel, we'll be blessed, and if we curse Israel, we'll be cursed. That's what he's referring to there. So the obvious troll and joke is to substitute Israelis for Somalis. See, that's the point. That's the point. But the point is lost on this crew, not surprisingly. Sheepdog Society LLC says, no, just no. Why do they have to make up lies? That is social media for you. Ha, ha, ha.
Wow.
Wow. Johnny Sound says, are you telling us that Somalis came to Minnesota 3,000 years ago, met the local Indian tribe, and traded the land for a pile of wampum? Seems legit. Ha, ha, ha. Now, this is my favorite. This is the dumbest. This is the guy who understands the reference but still misses the joke. Like, he gets the reference, but still it flies over his head that the guy was trolling. LMAO. Genesis 12:3 is about Abraham's descendants, not Somali squatters claiming Minnesota as their promised land. Yeah, that's the joke. Like, he gets the joke, but is too stupid to understand that it's a joke. That's how you know you're fucking dumb. When you get the joke, but are still too dumb to understand you've been told a joke. That's like, hey, this guy over here says the chickens cross the road to get to the other side. What an idiot. What is that about? Chickens cross the road to get to the other side? What is he, stupid? This clown's brain is on life support, courtesy of the 68 IQ import pipeline. Deport the delusion along with the rest. Minnesota for Minnesotans. American Papa Bear says, these people bring nothing of value to their country. Well, they bring a better sense of humor than the Israeli Jews do. We always say, as two non-Zionist Jews, we say Zionist Jews are the only unfunny Jews in the world, and that not only are they unfunny by Jewish standards, the Somalis have much, much better sense of humor than they do. So Shahab tries to warn him, bro, you still have time to delete this. He was obviously joking. Glenn Greenwald points out, yes, there is someone with an impaired IQ in this exchange, but it's not the person in the video. And this guy was not alone. Apparently, this has been a trend of Somalis mocking Israelis by claiming that they are entitled to Minnesota, according to the Bible. So this is a little Al Jazeera compilation that they put together. Somalis are mocking U.S. racism by joking that Minnesota was promised to them 3,000 years ago. Why would I leave when I was promised this land 3,000 years ago? Many are parodying pro-Israeli posts defending Israel's genocide and ethnic cleansing in Palestine. Conservatives finding out that Minnesota was promised to us. Booking my flight from Kenya to the motherland soon, the Mall of America. Minnesota is home to the largest Somali population in the U.S., many of whom arrived as refugees in the 90s. The trend follows statements and attacks by Donald Trump against Minnesota's Somali population. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of the great state and billions of dollars are missing. Trump has a long history of attacking Ilhan Omar, the first Somali American elected to Congress, including falsely suggesting she may have entered the U.S. illegally. In November, Trump announced he was ending legal protections for Somali immigrants in Minnesota. Over 90% of Somali people in Minnesota are U.S. citizens. The move follows Trump's crackdown on immigrants across the U.S. So, yeah, I mean, this is what Nancy Mace told Piers Morgan. He had to squeeze it out of her after 2 minutes. If you look suspicious, you have to go, right? And don't forget, they're trying to, I don't think they'll be successful in this, but they're trying to overturn birthright citizenship, which means even if you were born here to an immigrant, if you look suspicious, which there should be no mystery as to what that look is that they're looking for, you can be kicked out. That is what they are trying to do here. So obviously, look, this is just mask off racism. There's no other way to put it. I don't want to hear anybody trying to, gaslight anybody into thinking it's anything but that. But the Somalis reacting in good spirits and with a good sense of humor, much funnier than their Israeli Jewish counterparts. So good on them.
Yeah, ironic that this is coming to a head the same week that Zionists had their soft part loud conference, which we'll get into next, where they openly said, yeah, fuck America. Right. You want to go to Israel. Yeah, exactly, we're done with this place. Or alternately, hey, we need to double down on owning this place because the Gentiles are getting uppity. Right. Those are basically the two takes that you saw at that conference. And the Somalis are the disloyal ones. The Somalis are the ones who won't go back to their country to make it better. They're the invaders, not these Zionists that Donald Trump and his entire cabinet is perfectly willing to fillet on every occasion and at every opportunity. The Somalis are the problem. Look, part of what's coming to a head here, and we've said it, even though it looks very dark right now because these people are in control, in a lot of ways, this is the last stand of the white nationalist, Christian nationalist. And when I say Christian nationalist, I don't mean if you're a Christian, you're a nationalist. Christian nationalist, it's a specific subset that wrap themselves in the flag and Jesus, and they've always been with us in this country. This is part of where a certain kind of liberal theory of the world falls short of the moment in understanding the moment. The concept of America has always been a tension of, are you going to be a nation like other nations where the nation is tied to a blood and soil ethos to lesser or greater extent, the idea that French people live in France? Or are we going to move beyond the nightmare of history and create a place where everyone is united under a set of agreed civic values, but without a set culture, and certainly without an idea of a biological blood and soil tie to the land? Nobody has that except for the Native Americans.
Right,
That's
exactly.
it. Nobody else has that claim. This is that tension which has always been here in this country, really coming to a head. When it was majority white Europeans in the United States, they pretty much by default were able to push the vision that America was an extension of Europe. But the basic theory of America is you're moving beyond that vision of what a nation is. That's the basic concept. But this white majority increasingly moving towards becoming a minority, which was what a lot of this is about, has never embraced that vision, while obviously other people coming into the country have. Now, we would have been a white minority a long time ago if they hadn't redefined whiteness. This was a tension between the German, Northern European, Norwegian, Swedish settlers in America and the Jews, the Italians, the Irish who came in, who were not white people. They solved it by making them white, and that maintained this white majority. They redefined the people who were the invaders. They made them white people. Now this is more difficult because you're talking about the new immigrant groups are not Europeans. They're not from Europe, and this is why they're not comfortable just redefining them as white. Even though there are certain people within those groups, particularly Latinos, who would like to redefine themselves as white. Not all, but a certain subset want to join the white club. That's what this is all about. Like the liberal vision that we live in a world that is not defined or has not been defined by bigotry and racism and fighting over national identity, that's bullshit. That is not unique to America. What is unique about America is there has long been this vision that we are the country that transcends those old battles of Europe, right? That's the ideal. And that ideal has always been in tension with the American real. This moment feels like a tipping point in that struggle of national identity.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. And, yeah, we've gone into this a lot, which is that, the seeming the hegemonic qualities of capitalism and of the economic conditions imposed upon the population really lead to a moment like this, because people's material well-being has to be prioritized so that these debates are not front and centered. Like I think the reason Obama was put in office with a landslide majority is because there was the idea that we could transcend these racial divides through economic justice. I have to remind people, Barack Obama was losing that election until the financial crisis. He was down in the polls in August and September. As fucking insane. I mean, think of how insane that is. That after 8 years of George Bush, we were going to elect John McCain. And it wasn't until the financial crisis hit that people said, oh, wow, I guess we really do need a change, right? And that change was not motivated by the desire to transcend race. It was motivated by an opportunity to get what they thought was economic justice, right? And in pursuit of economic justice, they're willing to transcend race, right? But when both parties bend the knee to the oligarchy, Now you're left with the only debate being, well, is diversity a virtue or not a
Right.
virtue?
Right.
And
Right.
and the truth is, diversity is neither a virtue nor not a virtue, right? Like, people are who they are. My opinion is everybody can be who they are. It's neither something to tout nor something to be terrified about, right? The pursuit is equality and justice, which transcends
Right.
racial divisions or sexual divisions or gender divisions or whatever. And that is the opportunity that has been deprived of us, which is why we backslide into nonsense like this. And yeah, the only people who have a right to have a blood and soil party in this country are the Native Americans, which gives me a great idea. I mean, there really should be like a Native American right-wing nationalist party that grows. Think of how successful a Native American Nick Fuentes would be, just sitting in front of his computer.
The
White man bring
Geronimo
nothing
party?
but smallpox and mayonnaise. Get them out. We need them out now. No compromise. No compromise. That they have a right to do that. That would be funny. That would be great.
Yeah.
I could see that. I would sympathize with
We'd
that.
bring them on.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Please clap.